Hello and welcome to episode 14 maybe of I'm Up with Anthony Santino. October 14th was my middle school crush's birthday. If you're listening, you know who you are. She's definitely not. I am back in my apartment. I am solo for this episode. Just busy, not an issue, just been busy. A good amount of stand-up shows. I've been really happy with that. I had some people potentially lined up for episodes for being a guest. People do want to be on this podcast. I promise. I apologize. I don't apologize. I mean, I promise. I have friends. Guys. That sounds like a joke everybody makes. Let's act like I didn't make it. But yeah, no, it's been a good time. I forgot my tripod in my car, so I'm using a stack of books that hopefully don't fall. And with my new camera that I'm very excited about. I love having the Sony FX30. Recording on Monday night, trying to up the energy. I feel like I didn't have enough energy. Last podcast, and I was fine. Didn't matter. I made one solid joke that would have been a great clip, but it was a little too mean. Not mean, but kind of like I made a joke about Jimmy Carter being close to the end, and it was really good timing and fun misdirects. You didn't see it coming until now that I just revealed it all to you, but yeah, it's one of those things. I had no problem publishing it on the internet. It's fine, but to single it out would be a little bit of a travesty because I think he's like donated a lot of money to people. Anyway, I'm in my apartment. I've been wondering too, like, I wonder if my upstairs neighbors hear every bit of me recording this. They might. And if they are, maybe I'm embarrassed, but also it's good because then it means at least somebody's listening to the podcast. No, I have noticed that people are watching or listening on YouTube. And look, maybe the average amount of time they're watching is, 5 minutes and 30 seconds, if even that, out of an hour episode. But you know what? You can't win them all. And we are in the infancy of this, and it is better if I get a guest. Let's act like we're fine without one. Little things that have been happening, though. I went on a road gig last week. I went on a road gig to New Hampshire. I was featuring... Sorry, I had to burp. I was featuring for Dan Carney. Dan Carney is one of my buddies from New York Comedy. Dan used to feature on the road for Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon's a very funny guy. Dan's a very funny guy. Dan does some great work. He does a lot of work with The Homeless Pimp, who produced and directed Chris DiStefano's Netflix special, Speshy Weshy. And Dan's he's got a great act. I mean, I've seen Dan do stand-up. I knew Dan was funny, knew all that. But it was cool because Dan and I, so what happened was Dan essentially like needed someone who had a car or wanted to see if someone had a car. And, I think he might have asked about a camera too, maybe. He has his own, but he was asking about that. And I said, hey, I have a car and a camera, and I'm desperate. Let's get on the road. Let's hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. And it was great. One of those things, you go into a road gig. You're like, okay, this is a person. I'm friends, but like closer to the side of acquaintances. We don't see each other all the time. So I was like, how's this going to go? We're going to be in the car for a minimum of 7.5, 8 hours because we were doing the same day. We went from New York City to Manchester, New Hampshire, middle of a Wednesday. We left at like 2:30 p.m. It ended up working out great. It was an overcast day, which is what you want. We even had some flurries on the way up through Connecticut. But it took us about 4.5 hours to get up there. Had a couple of stops at gas stations. And just, as far as talking to Dan goes, the good thing is Dan and I are the same age, but he's been doing comedy a little bit longer than me. So he has some insights that I don't have as far as experience goes, but I'm also a bit of a comedy nerd. So like we were able to talk about a lot of stuff. And that was exciting. That was fun. And we made a good connection. I think we had a mutual understanding. Like we're both pretty self-aware people. And it was just an overall great time. Like Dan, always liked Dan, but you spend the time. The conversation flowed. He took a couple of mini naps on the way up and would pop up, and we would talk about stuff. And it was just great. I had my music. I was listening to music. We listened to music. We listened to my playlist for a while, and then he was like, "Okay, I need to be alive. Let's play some gangster rap from the early 2000s." We played some like 50. We played some Mobb Deep, whatever came up on a Spotify playlist, and it was just great. And the gig at New Hampshire, let me shout this place out, the Shaskeen, I think it's the Shaskeen Irish Restaurant and Pub. Maybe it's pub and restaurant, who knows, but you look it up, you'll find it, in Manchester, New Hampshire. It was awesome. It was a great time. We got up there probably about an hour before the show, had time to eat, pretty much chill and settle into it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I'm looking at my phone because I want to make sure I'm confirming some of the people's names I met. The people were so cool to us. I mean, obviously the lady who was booking her name was Geneva Gonzalez. I knew it was Geneva, but I'm also acting like I wasn't just looking at Instagram to confirm it so that I didn't offend her. But she was incredible. Geneva Gonzalez, shout out to her, put on a great show. They got, by the way, so we're in this back room of a bar restaurant. It's a really good showroom, bonafide showroom. Bonafide showroom. They do music and comedy there. I think they've had like Doug Stanhope and some maybe big bands there too. They got 25 people for the show, but the show was awesome. Like, we had 25 people in an intimate space. That's kind of all you need in certain respects, depending on the situation. But they were also all there to have fun, and they brought it, and we brought it, and I had one of the best sets I've had in a couple of weeks. I mean, I've been having good sets, flex, but like, these people really, like, they had a lot to give us, and we had a lot to give them. It was a good connection. It was good. I did really well. I was happy that I did well because, I wanted to show Dan that I did well. Like, and my thing is, in the New York comedy scene, like, some people know I could do very well, and then some people haven't seen me in a while. And even back then I was good when they saw me, but at open mics, the thing is this, at open mics, I really like to work newer stuff or things I've neglected for a while. I don't want to just do bangers. The bangers are for like shows and stuff. I get tired of that. I want to like work new stuff out. So I'll go to an open mic and I'll work new stuff. And it's usually pretty good or okay, but it's also a mic where no one cares. And you have to say that something is gay, or you have to say the R word for New York comics to care sometimes. That's not a shot at anybody in particular. It's just the energy that certain rooms will breed. It's like, some open mics are amazing. Like, shout out to the Beach Bum mic in Williamsburg. Shout out to Efficiency Mike in Williamsburg. That's a good one. You would think Brooklyn mics would be the worst ones, but they're the good ones sometimes. And, shout out to Sonia. She tries really hard at Black Cat and gets really good mics sometimes. Sometimes she'll even be joking like, oh, this room is very dead or whatever. And she's great. Love Sonia. I haven't been there in a couple weeks because I've been happy. Like, I've been doing a lot of stuff at the Grizzly Pear, and it's been great there. Yeah, no, I was happy that Dan saw me do well because, he's seen me do very little stand-up, so he was probably even feeling like he took a gamble, maybe taking me up there. He didn't say that, or he didn't even show that in his energy. Maybe I've had bits on my Instagram. He was like, oh, okay, verifiable. He could do well sometimes. Dude, I mean, I feel so good about my stand-up. I feel better than I should about it even. Like, I think I'm going to get better and better, and I feel like right now it's good, but that's the exciting part, is it can go to a new height. I don't know what this hand motion is, but it feels like I'm flicking jump shots. If you're watching on video, I'm just flicking my hand. Fingers are protruding out of my palm. I don't know. Is that descriptive enough? I don't know. I'm also hunching to be in frame. Hopefully I don't look like I have a food baby right now. But anyway, show gets underway. We had some hosts, some openers from New Hampshire. They decided to live there. I don't know why. And then we came up. I did my 15 minutes. Dan won a cooler. Dan won an all-day IPA cooler, a beer company, Founders. He won a cooler in like a raffle. They say the comics always win, and we're like, yeah. And then Dan ripped it up. Dan did like 35 minutes or so. I filmed everything. I think I messed up the white balance for his part. I am sorry. But I was just all wrapped up in the whole thing. It was exciting. It was really exciting. I was excited because I've only done a handful of road gigs. I mean, I've done comedy out of the state, but I really have done only like a handful of road gigs ever. I produced a couple of my own, was on a couple of other people's. But this one, it was a 4.5 hour drive up there. We got done with the show around 11 p.m. I was like, all right, I'm going to get a Red Bull and we're going to hit the road. We're going to have to get gas at some point. Dude, roads are empty in New England late at night. There was no road work BS. We were so good. We flew home just under 4 hours, but one or two stops, maybe. It was a great time. It was a good Wednesday night. He got paid, I got paid. It felt great, man. It was just good. It was a good time. I was happy with that. So shout out to Dan Carney. He's starting to, I think the last year or two, maybe even, he's been like headlining more, and he's one of these people. I'm like, I see him doing very well. He's going to do very well. And I hope the same for myself. I think I'm going to do very well too. And I like speaking in those terms. I also noticed, like, when Dan and I were speaking on the way up, I'm not going to talk about everything we talked about, of course, but it's just like, he's very focused, and, you got to keep it silly in comedy. You got to be fun, and, maybe sometimes oversharing is funnier. That's what I like to do a little bit, not a lot. Like, I don't talk about other people's business, but I'll talk about a lot of my own business as a joke. And the more truthful you are, the funnier it is sometimes. I mean, don't you feel like your life is a joke sometimes? Don't you feel like you're just a joke book of a human? You're just like, look at me, haha. And, maybe you cry a little bit on the inside, but if you're able to laugh at yourself, that's like the biggest superpower you can have. You're literally like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is nothing compared to you. Like, if you see somebody on the street who's like high on crack and they think that they're invincible, dude, just laugh at yourself. You'd be like, you guys have a laugh off, you and the guy on crack. Like, that would be incredible. But no, being able to laugh at yourself is a big deal. I don't like hanging out with people who can't laugh at themselves. If they can't do that, I respect it. Maybe that's their own defense mechanism, but I'm like, no, like, you got to be able to, like, be self-deprecative in some regard, because otherwise you're just giving everybody else power. Why do you want to give other people power? They already have power that they don't even know about. So, okay, now I sound like the Filipino guys who used to play tennis in Cunningham Park in Queens, and they would always philosophize over stuff. So shout out to them. They were thinkers. They were writing books. They were giving me audiobooks of information every day, every time I saw them. But, whatever, you get it. Road gig with Dan was very fun. I wrote stuff down to talk about, because you should. And I wrote a couple of things, not too many, but, George Santos, obviously George Santos was expelled from Congress. That's kind of a shame. That's kind of a shame. George Santos has done like a lot for this country. People don't realize. I mean, dude, he was the first man to land on the moon. He took out bin Laden. Like, this guy's like a national hero. And we should show him some respect. No, obviously that is hyperbole, or whatever the word is for making something up on purpose. Hyperbole is not the word. Maybe it is. But George, have I been saying his name right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. George Santos. I was going to say Soros. Now I'm going to get flagged. No, George Santos, he started doing Cameo. George Santos started doing cameos for people. And, because George Santos started doing cameos because that's the new third base. And, it's how it goes nowadays. You're obligated. The less you deserve respect, the more money you make. And, it says he's charging people $200 for a video, but knowing him, you get to the checkout and it's like, oh, just kidding, it's $500. It's like, what? You lied? And it's like, yeah, that's the first time he's ever lying. That's a little bit about him. That's really all I had to say. No, George Santos also, George Santos has been saying, like, to people in cameos, he's like, and don't get bogged down by all the haters. Don't let the haters bog you down. It's like, hey, you lied to the federal government multiple times. I'm not saying you're the only person who ever does that, but you did it on a big scale. You were like, hey, I went to college here, and you didn't. And I don't care where you went to college. You could literally go to the University of Narnia. I do not care where you go. Just like, you don't have to lie about it. Who cares? Dude, people who went to Nassau Community College are millionaires. It doesn't matter where you go. Literally, you could have gone to school with, like, my grandma teaching you, like, sewing in, like, a cabin in the middle of Vermont, and, your lunch is maple syrup. I don't care where you went to school. Where you went to school means nothing. Where you went to school means something to you. It should mean something to you. It should be like, oh, I enjoyed my experience there. I learned something there. But it, like, really shouldn't mean anything to anybody else. They should say, like, oh, okay, you have a level of education. Okay, you have an associate's or a bachelor's or a master's or a doctorate. that part matters. But even that, it's like, okay, whether you went to school or not, whether you went to college or not, you achieved a level of higher education beyond other people. What are you doing with it? Like, are you, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you leaking oil, like, mentally? Like, I don't know. Okay, my brain, unfortunately, here's the deal. I'm doing this Monday night thing again, and I wish I was recording a different night. I'm slightly dehydrated, but I'm not bailing yet. Just letting you know. I just wish I was doing it another day. Like, my voice is a little slight bit worn out from the day, a little bit tired, a little unsteady. Yeah, okay. I don't even like that song. I don't know why I said it, but what else? Oh yeah, this guy won the Powerball lottery. He won. I don't know. They said he's a billionaire in a headline. I barely read about it because that's how the world works nowadays. We barely read, but I read a lot. Just not about Powerball winners, but apparently a guy won the Powerball, and he's either a billionaire or he's like 100 millionaire, and he has a mansion and all this stuff. Good for him. I'm happy for him if he's happy. I truly do not care. I care about so many things. I don't care about this. I do know for a fact though, I never want to win the lottery. I put $1 million, put $50 million on a table in front of me and say, hey, this is your money. It's all yours, but we have to tell everybody that you have it. I don't want anybody knowing how much money I have. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's $500 million, because people are disgusting when it comes to money. People are filthy when it comes to money. People look at you differently when they know how much or how little money you have. And that's not what it should be. It should be like who you are. It should be how you treat people. Because think about it, like when you deal with someone, when you date somebody, the money never ends up making a difference, or you never care about that. When you want to work with somebody like that you actually have to do things with, you don't care about the amount of money they have. You win the lottery, everybody just knows you have all this money, and then you just don't, your identity is your lottery boy, your lottery girl, your lottery them, you're just the lotto person, and it's like they'll kill you. Okay, redacted. They won't, but you're in danger. You need to hire security. This guy's brother is going to like look over his finances. He's stealing all the money. Who knows? Like pizzeria, who know? I don't know. I promise you I do not want to win the lottery ever. I don't. I'm looking at this stack of books that is on the table. My high school yearbook is there. Let's not look into that one. No, there's some fun, nice messages in there. But my high school reunion, my 10-year high school reunion is coming up in January. I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually looking forward to it. I look forward to seeing people. Will I start dating someone from high school? Let's find out. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Totally. Just kidding. No, I'm not. I'm lonely, dude. No, I'm good. I'm doing fine. Comedy is really like my wife right now. It's crazy in a good way. Like, this is what I have to be doing. I'm in the thick of it. I'm doing the stuff you have to do. I'm looking forward to my high school reunion. I haven't been inside of my high school in a while. That sounds sexual. I haven't been inside of my high school in a while. We're in a dry spell, but I just took a sip of water, took my mouth away from the microphone, took myself out of frame, and now I'm just vibing. I made it a point. I made sure, look, it's tough to do a podcast at night like this, but I knew the world needed a white male to be on a microphone because we do not have enough of those. There are not enough white men on microphones. It just doesn't exist. They're like, what? A white guy's on a microphone? Never heard of that before. Is that allowed? It doesn't happen enough. There totally aren't any of them. I want to do more stand-up for black people again. We need more black people for me to do stand-up for. That sounds like too forced. You know what I'm saying? No, I've been doing all these shows where it's all white people, and maybe you get a Latino. And I had like, in total, I did 3 shows last night. 4 black people were there total. We need more. I haven't been able to do like my fun black material in a while, like the good stuff. You know, hey, how you doing? That's Italian-ish. What do you guys think of the Mafia? No, my fan is on. You needed to know that you care. I'm going to a mic, and my friend, she's supposed to go to the mic too. Let's see what she says. She hasn't texted back. That's how it's been going for me. That's my friend. Don't worry, we're not dating. I'm single right now. I wonder if my ex-girlfriend, the recent one, who is an awesome human being, I wonder if she watches any of these. If you are, sound off in the comments, mama. Just kidding. Totally. I'm straight up on Instagram right now. This could be better, this podcast. I know. Doubt I'm getting a clip out of this, and that's 90% of the reason I do this podcast. Listen. Try to think stuff. I've been writing a lot of bits, and I've been writing bits that have worked, that have been working, and I'm excited about that because you just find yourself getting better. As I've been doing comedy longer, I realize like there are ways to blend the old with the new, and the more personal your material is, the better it feels. Usually, the better I feel about my material, the more personal it is. I like taking that approach because people get to know you, they feel a connection to you, they can't ignore it, and they're held hostage there for you to just talk on a microphone for them. But be good, be funny. Some comics are just like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about trans people because no one's ever done that before, and it's like, you could do it. I'm not gonna be upset about it. It's just like, it feels so covered. Talk about some other shit. I don't know. I want to hear about you. I want to hear about your real insecurities. Like, put your insecurities out there. Like overshare a little bit. It's funnier. I wish I could overshare more, but my mom would be so sad. She'd be like, why are you saying that on a microphone and then posting it on Instagram? So I keep it buttoned up. Your boy is at a bridal shower. Your boy is at his engagement party with a suit on because he keeps it buttoned up. Okay. When it comes to my material, I'm very much like a couple of parents going to a sperm donor clinic. I'm like, we're being very selective with our material right now. The material we're going to acquire to bring a child into this world, we're being selective. That's how I am with my stand-up material. I'm selective. I riff on stage. I have fun, and that usually helps, and you get tags and things for bits out of it. But it's like I go up there and I'm like, I don't want someone in my family to have an aneurysm over something I'm saying that it could end up online if I think it's good. I really consider everybody's feelings. You're just such an amazing boy, just such an amazing guy I am. Yeah. What can I talk about that would generate a clip? That's how I think. It's mentally ill to maybe think that, but it's also truthful, and it's just true. And that's what most people are thinking. Let's be real. Everybody, dude. Maybe, you know what? Let's remanufacture what I did last week with the thing about Jimmy Carter that I had to not put. Nowadays, okay, I'm going to do it. We're getting into a bit, guys. If you see this on Instagram, this means that I actually made it better than the last version, okay? Nowadays, anybody with a microphone and a camera can just like, all right, we're taking it from the top. I forgot my beats. Okay, getting back into it. Ready? 3, 2. Nowadays, anybody with a microphone and a camera can like have their own show. Nowadays, you can be Johnny Carson. You could be Johnny Carson. You could be Jimmy Fallon. You could be Jimmy Kimmel. You could be Jimmy Seinfeld. Jimmy Seinfeld's not a guy. Jimmy Seinfeld's not a guy. You could be Jimmy Carter. By the way, Jimmy Carter's wife passed away last week. Rest in peace. He looks pretty fragile, but listen, why not make it to 140, Jimmy Carter, Okay, so that's a new version. Let me get more. So the problem was last week, we're dissecting the bit right now. Guys, look at this inside baseball we're doing. Last week, I did basically what I just said to you right now, the whole like, oh, anyone could be Johnny Carson, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Kimmel. I was like, Jimmy Carter, by the way, his wife died recently. Rest in peace. He looks close. I just left it at that. That's a fun little deadpan scenario. Problem is, Jimmy Carter is a very charitable man. And, like why would I be flippant in talking about his mortality? Listen, it's just a joke. We should be dark sometimes. Gallows humor, ladies and gentlemen. And now I'm just over explaining myself, so who cares? But that's the point. Is I'm a lyrical genius when it comes to stand up, and I come up with the stuff that's like good, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. That's what I found. I used to be such a perfectionist. You just got to get up and record. You got to press record on your life. Me physically, I have a camera. I pressed record on this podcast, this one white man on a podcast filming himself in his apartment, because that's what it is. Am I a self-starter or am I privileged? You decide. But, you got to press record on life. Like, don't wait for the perfect piece of equipment. Don't wait for the perfect person. Get out there, date people, talk to people, change up the kind of coffee you get. And then if you hate it, spit it out on the sidewalk and then go get the coffee order you usually like to get, but try new things. Today I got a new kind of pastry at one of my favorite coffee shops and I hated it. It wasn't good. It wasn't what I wanted, but they usually have bangers. They usually have amazing pastries. So I just go back tomorrow and get the thing I usually like. I know now. I'm smarter. I'm wiser. I'm a day older and $1 shorter because everything is so expensive. Make it less expensive. But yeah, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there because I think I did a good job at the back end of having fun and riffing. I made it more entertaining. Just you're welcome. And it wasn't even that good, but I need a guest for next week. It needs to happen. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If anybody is whatsoever at all, I hope some people get to the end of this episode. I'm going to talk slower. I'm going to get some water in me. I'm going to go to this open mic. And yeah, have a good night.